Hello, I'm here on Church Street on this very, very busy, loud Saturday afternoon. It really is a busy day. There's plenty of things happening. Buskers, religious activists, if that's the right word. And there's a lot going on. But as I walk in and around the city centre, which I do most days, I cover some distance, trust me, I do, right? And I see the cultural change. Changing our city by the day. Let's use the city centre as a microcosm of the rest of the city. And if one judges it by that, then the cultural change is indeed happening at a fast and alarming rate. What I want to ask, will the politicians, councillors, MPs, the Liverpool Echo, Liam Thorpe in particular, will the aforementioned just ignore what's happening in the hope no one notices the cultural miss, not Scotch miss, cultural miss? Can that really happen? Do you believe that cultural change will just keep changing our glorious city, sinking its roots in deeper and deeper, where it becomes more and more in the driving seat, various parts of Liverpool? Can politicians, Liverpool Echo, can they really ignore it to the point, as I've said, it's becoming more and more dominant in various parts of Liverpool? I've walked up this part, it's getting really busy, further up Church Street, should I say. So are they just going to ignore it? Are they just going to hope people don't notice it? Well, that's not happening. You can see it now as I walk in and around the city centre. You can see what's happening. So it's going to be interesting, this, right, as to how long they just ignore it to the point where it can't be ignored. Then how do they then address it? That's going to be their big problem. Okay, sir. How do they then address it? Because that's going to be a big problem there, especially when Joe Owens has been raising this thorny issue for several years. They then decide to talk about it when it becomes so entrenched in our city. People are now in large numbers noticing the change, and they don't like what they're seeing. And something like that could reflect in votes in elections, let's say, when Joe Owens stands, and that's also a big worry for them. So wouldn't it be better just addressing it now while we can, instead of just ignoring it in the hope it's going to go away when we all know it's not? Like I've said, it's a cultural thing, this. The more and more new arrivals that disperse in our glorious city, the more they sink their roots deeper and deeper, the more they're in the driving seat, then we lose our Scouse character, identity, culture, ways, beliefs, values, standards. It changes, it completely changes. Now, this, as I've said again, this isn't Joe Owens spreading hatred or racism or whatever the Liberals, whatever name they want to put on it. This is serious. It is really, really serious, because our ways, our culture, our character, everything about us will change. In fact, is changing. One can see that now. It is changing. I walk in and around the city centre and I see the change. I'm here most days of the week, so I see it more than most people. So the change is coming, and getting back to the politicians, the councillors, the MPs, the Liverpool Echo, Liam Thorpe, that they just ignore this thorny issue until one day they have to address it. Well, the problem they face then is, why didn't you address this 5 years ago? When Jones is bringing this to the good people of Liverpool on a daily basis, you ignored him, you denied an interview, you just pretended he didn't exist. So you're going to face problems then, and you're also going to have the wrath of the people of Liverpool, because they know this issue, right? Or this problem, should I say. They know it's festering more and more by the day. It's sinking its roots deeper and deeper, where it's in the driving seat in various parts of Liverpool, Kensington and Fairfield, top of Smithdown Road and many other places. So it's a dilemma that you lot face. You Liberals, whether or not you're politicians, councillors, MPs of a Liberal disposition, that's what I mean. I don't mean Liberal Party. The Echo and all the Liberals that work for the Liverpool Echo, Liam Thorpe being one of them. You're going to have to face this thorny issue one day. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist, it'll go away and everyone won't notice it, right? The people are noticing this more and more by the day, because I speak to them, right? I speak to them and they don't like what's happening, because they can see their Scouse character, identity, culture being taken from them, because that's what's happening. If I've got that wrong, then what's happening in Kensington and Fairfield, is that just a different type of Scouse transition? Hey, well, exactly, you know it's not. So anyway, I don't want to drag on this. There's a lot going on in the city centre. It's very, very busy. I've just had to come down here where people of the Muslim faith are saying prayers, and have no problem with that. I just don't want them saying prayers all over the city, because then it's not a Scouse city anymore. It's a completely different one, right? And that's what this is all about. It's not about having a go at anyone. It's about balance. It's about numbers. That's what it's about. It's about numbers, right? Small amounts of any religion, small amounts of any particular group isn't a problem. But it's when that group and their ways, beliefs, values, standards, culture, identity, culture starts replacing ours, then it becomes a problem. So you MPs, you councillors, Liverpool Echo, Liam Thorpe, how long are you going to ignore this festering problem, this daily festering problem we see now in our city? Are you just going to ignore it until eventually you can't ignore it no more? Well, by that time, things would have got really worse in our city regarding our Scouse character being taken from us, and people aren't going to be happy. And that's where Jones will get his votes. That's where my support will come in. I'll be standing in the ward, in the constituency of Wavertree in next year's general election. I will be contesting that seat and challenging Paula Barker. She's a refugee's welcome, like many others, but it's getting a bit loud now. I'm going to call it time. Okay, thank you.